I'd been away for 8 months, helping my daughter Sarah with her newborn in Seattle. I returned to my cabin on Lake Evergreen in July 2024. Everything seemed unchanged. The thick forests, the rugged mountains, the sprawling 800-acre lake, except for the eastern shore. There, a cluster of buildings had sprung up like an unwelcome invasion. Dozens of cabins, perhaps over 100, sleek and modern, with huge windows and expansive decks. It looked like a high-end resort had been plopped right onto my land. As I drove around the lake that afternoon, counting them one by one, I tallied 109 structures, all cedar-sided with metal roofs, complete with paved parking and a welcome center. A sign boasted Summit Retreats, lakefront luxury cabins, $400 to $600 per night. My blood boiled. This was no mistake. It was a bold grab at what was mine. The HOA president, Victor Harlan, had constructed a $12 million resort on my property while I was gone. When I confronted him, he dismissed me outright, claiming they'd been running it for 2 years and daring me to sue. But Victor had overlooked one crucial detail. Lake Evergreen only existed because my grandfather had built the dam back in 1962. I owned that dam. Open the gates, and the lake would vanish in 6 weeks. I did just that the next morning. By the time Victor realized his prized lakefront cabins were stranded in a muddy ravine, it was far too late to turn back the tide of what followed. I'd left in November 2023 to support Sarah. Her husband was deployed, and she was navigating motherhood alone with a tiny infant. I winterized my cabin on the North Shore, drained the pipes, secured the doors, and headed west. Those 8 months were filled with the simple joys of grandfatherhood. Diaper changes, late-night feedings, and watching Sarah grow in her new role. It was rewarding, but by July, her husband was home, and she had things under control. I drove back to Colorado, arriving at my place around 4 p.m. on July 18th. The familiar landscape greeted me, but something was off across the water. Grabbing my binoculars from the deck, I scanned the eastern shore. Cabins everywhere, modern, luxurious, lined up neatly with landscaped yards, a large parking area, and a welcome center. Families were unloading cars, kids splashing in the lake, couples relaxing with drinks. It hit me like a punch. Someone had turned my private lake into a commercial playground. I hopped in my truck and took the dirt perimeter road around my 2,400-acre spread. Up close, the setup was even more audacious. 109 cabins, each about 800 square feet, with premium finishes. The Welcome Center sign confirmed it. Summit Retreats, touting escapes to Colorado's hidden gem, Lake Evergreen. I parked and entered the center. A young woman at the desk smiled brightly. "Checking in? What's your name?" "No," I replied evenly. "I'm Henry Caldwell. I own this lake." Her smile wavered. "Oh, I think there's a mix-up. This is part of Summit Heights, HOA's lakefront amenities. The lake and the land are mine, all 800 acres and beyond." He looked puzzled. Mr. Harlan, our HOA president, said this was public county land by a shared waterway. "We've been open for 2 years. 2 years. While I'd been away briefly before, they'd built this monstrosity." She directed me to Victor Harlan's office at the HOA clubhouse, 2 miles east. As I drove off, I passed happy vacationers grilling and boating on my property. I called my attorney, Michael Lee, right away. "Michael, get over here. Someone built 109 cabins on my land." After a stunned pause, he promised to arrive with surveys and deeds. Back in my cabin, I reviewed my documents. Clear ownership of 2,400 acres, including the lake and dam. My grandfather, Arthur Caldwell, bought the land in 1958, a creek valley fed by 3 streams. He dammed it in 1962, creating the 800-acre lake for fishing and solitude. It passed to my father in 2004, then to me in 2008. For 16 years, I'd maintained it, paid $48,000 annual taxes, stocked fish, and kept it private. No public access, no development. Michael arrived at 6 p.m. with maps and satellite images from May 2024 showing the cabins squarely on my land. "This is blatant trespassing, Henry. We can demand removal and sue for damages." I wanted answers first. We drove to the Summit Heights Clubhouse, a lavish setup with pools and courts, homes worth $800,000 to $2 million. Victor Harlan, early 50s, tall and polished in his suit, greeted us smugly. "Gentlemen, how can I help?" I laid it out. "I'm Henry Caldwell. You built 109 cabins on my property." He smirked. "Mr. Caldwell, the recluse from the North Shore. The lake's a public resource. The shore's county land. We checked records." Michael countered with deeds and surveys. Victor waved it off. "Lakes over 500 acres are public in Colorado. Your grandfather's dam doesn't make it exclusive." I stayed calm. "The lake exists because of my dam. The land's deeded to me. I pay taxes on it." Victor leaned back. "We invested $12 million, have permits, and generate $8 million yearly. We're not tearing it down." Michael pressed. "Trespassing doesn't vanish with money." Victor laughed. "We've been here 2 years. That's adverse possession. Sue if you want. We've got deep pockets from 240 homeowners." We left. In a parking lot, Michael said, "He's bluffing, but litigation could drag on." I knew that. Victor planned to profit while tying me up in court. That night, I pondered the dam. As a retired civil engineer with 35 years in water management, I knew it inside out. Open the gates fully, and the lake drains steadily. I called my old colleague, Thomas Reed, who'd inspected it in 2019. "Thomas, hypothetically, how long to drain with gates open?" He chuckled. 4 to 6 weeks in summer. No structural issues. It's designed for that. Legally, it's your call, as long as downstream rights aren't violated. I hung up, walked to the dam, a 60-foot concrete marvel, and entered the control house. The gate was stared back, ready. Victor had built his empire on my lake, assuming it was permanent. He was wrong. At 6 a.m. on August 1st, I turned the wheel, opening the gates wide. Water flowed out steadily. I documented it, notified the county for courtesy. They noted it without fuss. Back on my deck with coffee, I watched. The change was subtle at first, but inevitable. For 3 days, the resort hummed on. By day 4, docks sagged a foot above water. Guests noticed. By day 7, 3 feet down, boats grounded, beaches muddied. Complaints mounted at the Welcome Center. That afternoon, Victor called. "Caldwell, the lake's draining." "What's going on?" "Dam maintenance," I said. "Gates open for inspection, 12 to 18 months. Silence. "You're insane. We're booked solid. This destroys us. Remove the cabins, and I'll reconsider. This is sabotage." He hung up, vowing legal action. By day 14, 8 feet down, docks dry, shoreline receded 50 to 100 feet. The place emptied. Closed for maintenance signs appeared. Victor stormed to my cabin on August 18th, furious. "You're weaponizing the dam. I'm maintaining my property. Your trespass is the issue. We've lost $400,000. Owners are suing us." "Good. Remove the cabins." He clenched fists. "We'll sue for $40 million and force a refill. While you do, enjoy the mud." He sped off. By late August, the lake was a 200-acre remnant of pools and creeks. Aerial drone footage showed the cabins absurdly perched above dry beds. A $12 million folly. Revenue plummeted to zero. Reviews scorched. No lake, just scam. Cabin owners, who'd bought for $180,000 to $220,000 each, raged. Total investments, $21 million. Many sued the HOA for fraud. Michael monitored 73 owners in a class action, seeking $14 million refunds. HOA insurance balked at fraud coverage. Victor blamed me, promising victory in court. On September 15th, 20 owners confronted me at home. A red-faced man in his 40s yelled, "You ruined our investments." A tearful woman in her 50s added, "Our retirement, gone." I sympathized but stood firm. "You were defrauded by the HOA, not me. They built illegally." One called me selfish. I countered, "I've maintained this for 16 years. They stole it." They left, defeated. The injunction hearing on September 20th was tense. Victor's lawyers argued bad faith. Michael highlighted trespass. Judge Susan Blackwell ruled, Mr. Caldwell owns the dam and land. No obligation to aid trespassers. Injunction denied. Media exploded. Lake owner drains reservoir in property feud. Opinion split. Some saw me as vindictive, others as a defender of rights. The main trial in November lasted 4 days. Victor testified on his good faith research, flawed, as Michael exposed no title searches. Experts clashed on water rights, but the core was trespass. In closings, Victor's side called it revenge. Michael, no duty to subsidize theft. On December 3rd, we won. Victor ordered to remove cabins in 120 days and pay $2.5 million. But the HOA cratered. Victor resigned. Bankruptcy followed. They settled for $3 million, full removal, restoration. Demolition started February 10th, 2025, a spectacle of excavators tearing down the resort. By May 6th, all gone. Environmental checks cleared. On May 15th, I closed the gates. The lake refilled over 6 months, full by December 2025. Victor? Bankrupt, sued for $15 million, fled to Arizona as a realtor. HOA homeowners paid $8,000 assessments. Many sold out. Cabin owners lost fortunes. Tragic, but due to poor diligence. A year later, fishing where a cabin once stood, I met neighbor Jack Thompson. Worth it? He asked. Absolutely. Defended my rights. The lake was pristine again. In the end, I reclaimed what was mine without breaking laws. Property rights triumphed over greed. What do you think? Share in the comments. Was this justice against injustice or excessive force? Where do you stand on violence and unfairness in life? Your views could spark a great discussion.